What are some of the strangest experiences you've had while astral projecting?
I saw hundreds of dimensions.
I went to the moon once.
I like to see Pluto.
And this portal just opens up.
He said, "This is the edge of the universe."
Just seeing the ocean in an astral realm, it's incredible.
Became a cow,
Giants.
blade of grass.
And he just started changing his faces really, really fast.
I actually tried to go visit Area 51, and when you try to enter it, it snaps you back in the body if you go too close to it.
What the fuck?
I'm meeting with the astral projection experts
Astral projection, you actually get to experience these things for yourself.
to see how quickly they can help me to have an experience.
There's a practice that you can do that allows you to sense what I call the phantom body.
People that try to do it on their own, it can take them up to even years.
I came into contact with this scary face. I'm starting to wonder, like, what's gonna happen next.
I literally died.
Is it dangerous?
If you don't link up back with your body, you could, in theory, you would be dead.
While it's been nice to reconnect with my parents,
Dad, oh my god.
being quarantined in the suburbs wasn't how I planned to spend the summer. And my normal pranayama practice in the morning and Upper Super Soul Sunday in the evening just aren't hitting like they used to. And so, like any rational millennial looking to cope with their existential dread, I turned to memes. And one meme in particular sparked my interest. Astral projection, or soul travel, is when someone consciously travels to what's referred to as the astral plane. Memes about AP as a last resort option for escaping quarantine have been showing up all over my feed. Oh, wait, not that one. Eventually, I traced these memes back to their creators, and that's when I fell down the rabbit hole.
Today, we're going to be talking about out-of-body experiences.
I've decided that I'm going to recondition myself to astral project more.
How to astral project.
Not only did I discover an online community of projectors, but the tradition itself has a long and complicated history. Like the US Army's Stargate Project, a classified unit of psychic soldiers attempting to infiltrate Russian intel by using a form of astral projection.
People who claim that they have psychic powers.
There's also the Monroe Institute, where experiments on consciousness travel have taken place since the 70s.
How was your experience?
I started sort of floating up through the roof and I went up out through the building.
I decided to speak with some of the projectors I met online to learn some of the benefits they've experienced from the practice.
In the astrals, you don't have so much density.
You can learn a lot more things in one night of astral projecting than you could in probably like 10 days of being on Earth, because you're not bound to a physical body.
Everything just flows much easier.
Do you find yourself practicing EP more now that you're in quarantine?
I do practice AP a lot more now that everything's shut down.
I would say that it's definitely enhanced by quarantine.
I think it's helped my mental health pretty good. When you do it, you just mind is completely blank and clear.
You look at things in a new light because you know that there's kind of an alternative view to it.
I began to wonder, is this something that could actually help me cope with quarantine?
Well, hello everyone.
Adjust the mask over your face.
Somebody's going to have to get off the sidewalk to maintain that 6 feet of separation.
I'm giving myself 2 weeks to have an astral projection experience.
You're gonna go in between the fingers, just like that.
Here are the rules. I will not use the aid of supplements like melatonin or galantamine to accelerate the astral projection process. Rule number 2, I will not use hallucinogenics like LSD to induce an out-of-body experience. Not this time.
This afternoon, the courts extended their closure for all non-essential business.
Rule number 3, I will not use sensory deprivation. Not like I could really access a tank right now.
My first stop was to get some advice from experienced projectors. Ryan Cropper, a YouTuber known for creating his own astral projection techniques, agreed to give me some tips to get started.
What's quarantine like in Bali?
They've actually got checkouts by the street. They're not allowed to drive around or roam around without a mask. I could see how most people would end up projecting more if they were stuck inside. When I was really indoors, I would astral project a lot.
How did you first get involved with AP?
When I was 16, I drowned in a quarry. And yeah, I literally died. My friends disappeared. But then all of a sudden, I started seeing my dad, who poke me and push me to the floor and say how I couldn't amount to anything. And the second one was my girlfriend. And I was like, I'd really like to see her again. and I don't want to prove my dad right. And so I decided to stay. I just woke up at the bottom of the quarry. And then about 2 weeks after, and my hand was all static and I could see through it.
Whoa.
So the astral projection would start.
You know, a lot of what I've been reading online, people talk about how if you don't relink with your body, you can die.
I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that.
Are there any real dangers associated with astral projection?
There are entities that are there. They kind of like the Dementors out of Harry Potter. They want to scare you to feed off of your fear, and you actually see it. You won't have much energy for a couple of days.
Okay, so not too bad. So after you started having these experiences, how were you able to sort of develop your skills to start projecting on demand?
After studying my mind, I came up with a series of techniques.
Would you be open to sharing some of these techniques?
Yeah. There's a practice that you can do that allows you to sense what I call the phantom body. You take the tennis ball, squeeze it in your hand, and you get used to the feel of the tennis ball. You let it drop and hit the floor. But then what you do is you pretend as if your hand still has the tennis ball. You pretend as if you can still feel it. And then while you're laying there, you just gradually let your consciousness slip into a very deep state. And then I changed it to using an alarm. It's one that's kind of loud, so you can hear it ticking, and you just listen to it click. Go over to the clock and take the battery out. And then go back into your bed and expect to hear it again at some point. When you start to hear it, it'll alert you to the fact that, wait a second, I took out the batteries, how come I can still hear it? And then you get up and you be in the astral plane.
Sick.
Yeah. Thanks.
Ryan's technique sounded easier than I expected. I was beginning to think leaving my body would be easier than I thought. Maybe I'd spend the rest of quarantine projecting to cool places and just chill.
So this is my very first video diary. I will be using these to track my progress, and tomorrow morning will be my very first attempt at astral projection. I will be trying the tennis ball method.
The tennis ball method did nothing. Day 1. I tried the alarm clock method, but I haven't had much luck.
Because we're in quarantine, I thought what I'm gonna do every single night is try to go out of body.
I literally just fall asleep. I felt like tingling. I've been having crazy dreams.
You have to lay down and stay still to get into a state of almost sleep paralysis.
I felt my body sort of floating upwards, tingly, you can't feel any of your limbs.
Once you feel comfortable enough in this energy, I say start to roll. And you'll feel the difference between your astral and your physical body. There's a definite separation.
I've almost fallen off of my bed twice now, thinking that I'm in the astral.
It's all just will. If you have a problem, you gotta just remember you're in control and you're tricking yourself.
Things in this world we just don't fully understand, and I think going out of body is one of them.
Like, a lot of people have a lucid dream and they think that that's astral projection, but it's not. And the key differences to that is astral projection, once you finally have one, it feels way different than a lucid dream.
I had a lucid dream last night, and I came into contact with this being. It really only became whatever I was to project onto it. It feels like in order to get to the astral, my psyche is like putting me through the ringer. And so I'm like seeing these projections of my subconscious that are like intimately bound up with my own shit. Deep down, I feel like I know that it's up to me to decide the vibe. It's like the ultimate vibe check, basically. My experiences have just been sort of scattered, and I need more direction, I need more guidance. I was beginning to wonder if I had seen one of the Dementors that Ryan was talking about. Either way, I realized that if I wanted to reach my goal of projecting by the 2-week mark, I was going to need some professional help. After a quick search on the World Wide Web, I stumbled upon Elastic Perception.
Hi, my name is Florentine Ionita, and in the next few minutes, I'll share with you the 3 things that enables myself and my students to have astral projections on a regular basis, and how you can do the same.
Whoa. Florentine's confidence and experience with astral projection was exactly what I needed. I reached out to Florentine, and within just a few hours, he got back to me.
Okay, cool.
So I'm interested to hear what got you into astral projection and how long you've been projecting for.
I would say it started with seeing The Matrix for the first time and being very inspired. And
love The Matrix.
After that, seeing that movie, I think I started to question my reality a lot, and I started to really figure out what was going on, and that led me down a spiritual path of seeking truth to everything.
So I've been having issues trying to project myself. I usually just fall asleep, or I just lay there because I'm sort of having a hard time finding the line between a lucid dream and astral projection.
Well, there's dreaming, there's lucid dreaming, and then there's astral projection. They blend into each other, but there is distinct differences. If you were to compare lucid dreaming to a computer, where the things that's happening in lucid dreaming is something that is inside of the computer, the hard drive, the desktop. When you astral project is something that you do outside of your computer, where you go through the internet and you access other computers or other networks. And so you're able to navigate outside of your own consciousness, basically.
I did have one lucid dream that was kind of scary.
Physical reality is much more dangerous than if you do astral projection, where you're able to project your consciousness somewhere else. And at any point, if you feel like you don't want to be there anymore, you can just think about your physical body and you return in a second. And actually, you shouldn't be afraid at all, because it's all love, so you don't have to.
So what could you recommend for me as someone who wants to have an experience as soon as possible?
Well, I recommend my program, which is a 12 weeks program that's gonna teach you how to get out of body.
I don't have 12 weeks. Is there any way to streamline the process and enable me to have an experience in like a few days?
Well, let's do it. Now, the program consists of high-end video training, induction soundtracks, and unlimited one-on-one coaching.
Visuals, sounds, movement, and then visual, sounds, movement. What is it that you have to do?
I don't remember.
Okay, I'll refresh your mind.
If you're someone that has been consuming a lot of positive information, you will have a positive experience. Mindset is everything.
Are you a deep sleeper or a light sleeper?
It's weird. I definitely would say I'm a light sleeper when it comes to falling asleep.
You shouldn't change the way that you feel or the way that you breathe.
But then when I am sleeping, I'm not really sure if it's easy to wake me up or not.
These plastic masks that you put on your face when you do the practice, and you cannot see anything through this mask.
Like, I'm not a deep sleeper, but I'm not like super light sleeper once I fall asleep. It just takes a while for me to fall asleep.
Everything is connected, and if you start astral projecting and you start to realize the bigger picture, your physical life here will have a complete different importance.
So yeah, I guess I'm more of a light sleeper.
Okay. If you were to see something, then that's your clue that you can leave the body.
So nothing has worked. It's almost been 2 weeks, and I guess I might just not make my goal.
Yes, I know. This is hard. It's scary, and no one has experienced anything quite like this in our lifetimes. But one thing that we are certain about is that right now, today, and for the next weeks, we need to stay at home and stay apart. And I can tell you something else that's certain. 6 feet apart is way better than 6 feet under.
Hi there, Consciousness Explorer. It's time to explore the universe.
It worked. All I want to do now is talk to Florentine and tell him about my success.
Are we recording now, or?
So I had my first experience.
Excellent.
I feel like part of what is always getting in the way for most people, and what was getting in the way for me, was my conscious mind and like shutting it up.
Yeah.
And with this method, it kind of like bypasses your conscious mind completely and goes like straight to your subconscious.
Yeah, so you hit that perfect balance between a wakefulness and a sleep, which is that magical little doorway that takes you to these experiences.
Yeah, exactly.
And how did it felt? How was your first experience?
I felt sort of like a cloud, and I was like, oh shit, I think that I'm here. Just sat up and then like got out of the bed, and I was in my room. my foot started sinking into the rug. And I just took my hands and sort of like peeled through the ceiling, almost like it was a sponge or like cake, and just kind of like opened it.
So I successfully projected out of quarantine, even if it was only for 30 seconds. Regardless, I don't think I want to lose touch with this reality completely, but it is nice to have the option to explore other perspectives. Once quarantine's over, I don't think I'll stop astral projecting. I think this is just the beginning of a larger journey inward for me.
We were born on this planet without an instruction book on how to be human. We don't know who we are, we don't know where we came from, we don't know where we're going after this life. And use this as a tool to understand the bigger picture.
We have means to let people know they are more than their physical body. Here I was lying in bed, and that's when I found myself bumping against the ceiling. I swam back down through the air. I was very careful about this vibration. Our methods produce a cessation of the fear of death. You are free